Welcome to Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering. Here we have Henri with Reanimator and Ben on Elves. Animator, a very fast deck. Elves not going to have any permission. Most of the disruption is going to be in the form of discard and usually post board. We get a Green Sun Zenith on turn 1, going to be able to fetch a Dryad Arbor. One of the most common uses for the card. Of course, it can be used later as a win condition when you have enough to grab a Crater Hoof Behemoth, but it's so important for Elves to start the game with an additional mana source, either Green Sun for Dryad Arbor or one of the many mana elves that have been printed for 1 mana. Unmask, pitching Reanimate, and targeting Ben. See, Natural Order, Glimpse, and the Glimpse is taken. And we're going to try and outrace a potential Natural Order. Fetching a Badlands and passing. Grist, the new Planeswalker, in addition to many black-green decks. Guy just does some work. He also can be found with Green Sun Zenith. Both players carefully following the instructions on the card. The new addition. A lot of text on that one. Another Unmask, this time targeting himself and reanimating Gristlebrand. And these 7 are going to be incredibly important, as Grist represents an answer to Gristlebrand if these 7 are not good enough. Children of Corliss. Oh, wow. This is going to be an absolute mess. This is not just Reanimator. This is some type of Tin Fins. And we've got all that life that was paid regained thanks to the 1 casting cost Children, which is now a creature in the graveyard to be reanimated or exhumed as well. This is almost certainly over. Ben can just sit there and watch as so many cards are drawn. And expect some type of Tendrils of Agony style finish. Oh, wow. Having to use a Faithless Looting. That is a good sign for Ben. Perhaps he has a chance here. Would have expected a flurry of Dark Rituals. No, instead an Exhume. Bringing back the Children and now regaining all of the life again that was lost. Remember, there's the first round and the second round, so gaining like 20, at least, what was that, 21 plus 8? 29 life at least. He can draw out the rest of his deck if he so chooses. There's the flurry of Dark Rituals, and now drawing some more cards. Looks like Exaxes. Looks like he drew his entire deck. Got to be careful with Gristlebrand there. It is theoretically possible in some builds that you could have the exact wrong cards at the bottom of your library and not actually be able to win. A pretty unlikely situation, especially with the ability to flashback Faithless Lootings using your Lotus Petals. It's probably mathematically impossible. But there we go. Taking down that first one. Ben got out a Grist. It could have been an answer to many creatures in the game, but, you know, Gristlebrand really isn't about that lifelink body in this matchup. It's about drawing cards. There are matchups where that 7/7 flying lifelink body is absolutely good enough on its own. A lot of different aggro control strategies that are bereft of Karakas can be just absolutely smashed by a 7/7 lifelinker. You know, you're staring that down with Delvers and Dragon's Rage Channelers, Monkeys. I mean, that's not going to go okay. Of course, Death and Taxes, decks that have access to Karakas are a different story. And we are seeing a bit more Karakas lately, in part thanks to that pesky monkey, Ragavan. He is legendary, and Karakas can make a mess of him. Trying to rely on him early, and your opponent not even using a card to get rid of him. It's one thing to Swords to Plowshares him. Another to just be able to have a reusable mana source that can kind of nullify his existence. Also be used for white mana. And going back, going to need a quality hand. We may see things like crop rotation for Bojuka Bog. Also discard that can be very useful in these opening turns. And down to 5. And no turn 1 accelerant. Step fetching, likely for a Dryad Arbor. An extra body. The deck is primarily green. Really only need black for the discard. Having an extra body on board at times powers up your Gaia's Cradle as well. Oh, and it looks like he does have a Cradle in hand, which can be useful hopefully soon. This is not a particularly powerful opening. Attacking with Dryad Arbor. Now Henry has Entomb during the end step, grabbing Iona. Actually causes a concession when she shows up. Thoughtseize doesn't really do a lot. We've got an Endurance. That's going to shuffle the graveyard and put it on the bottom of the library. Grist is taken, leaving just a Gaia's Cradle in hand. Thoughtseize, effectively countered there. There's not a whole lot that the Thoughtseize could accomplish. Interesting, reanimating Grist. That's a fun line. Making a body, milling. This Planeswalker could be left unchecked for many turns. Oh, a Green Sun Zenith off the top. A good thing that Dryad Arbor was fetched. That Gaia's Cradle would be a $1,000 ham sandwich otherwise. Have absolutely no impact on the game without having a body on board. Scavenging Ooze taken out thanks to Grist. Planeswalker doing some work. And now Entomb and Reanimate both put on the table at the same time. We've got an Iona on board. Another Cradle drawn for turn, but this one's going to be over in short order. Grist, a new addition to Legacy. A whole bunch of cards from Modern Horizons 2 making an impact. Some of them bigger than others, but I suspect Grist will be a role player. Any decks that have the access to the black and the green. Another Dryad Arbor. This is not looking good. I'm not sure what Ben can draw from here that could get rid of the Iona, but he is nearly dead. He'll have another draw towards it. And that is going to do it. His Reanimator wins a matchup that you got to think it's favored, and that is just tough. Elves can be very fast, but Reanimator typically at least a turn faster.